Welcome back. We are on the topic quadratic functions. In the previous video, we solved a question on factorizing a quadratic trinomial. In this video, we are going to learn how to solve quadratic equations. Solving quadratic equations. Quadratic equations are of the form ax squared plus bs plus c is equal to 0. Where a, b, and c are constants and a is not equal to 0. To solve a quadratic equation, 1. Factorize the quadratic expression in the equation. So as we have here, quadratic equations are of the form ax squared plus bs plus c is equal to 0. This means that a quadratic equation is an equation with a quadratic expression in it. The quadratic expression in this equation is ax squared plus bs plus c. The first point says that to solve a quadratic equation, we will have to factorize the quadratic expression in the equation. So for example, if we are given this quadratic equation to solve, x squared plus 11x plus 30 is equal to 0, we can see that the quadratic expression in this equation is x squared plus 11x plus 30. This is the quadratic expression in the equation. If we want to solve this quadratic equation, we will have to factorize the quadratic expression. So the first thing we have to do is to factorize this quadratic expression. We have learned how to factorize a quadratic expression. For this example, if we factorize this quadratic expression, we will have x plus 5 in one bracket, then x plus 6 in another bracket. So after we have factorized the quadratic expression on the left hand side, we are having x plus 5 in one bracket, x plus 6 in another bracket, and this is equal to 0 because what we have on the right hand side is 0. So x plus 5 in one bracket, x plus 6 in another bracket is equal to 0. As you can see here, the expression in the first bracket is multiplying the expression in the second bracket, and we are getting 0. If two numbers multiply each other and you get 0, what it means is that the first number is 0 or the second number is 0. Now this is what I mean. Let's say that we have two numbers m and n multiplying each other and we are getting 0. It means that m is 0 or n is 0. We are going to apply the same idea to find the solution of our quadratic equation. So after we have factorized the quadratic expression in the equation, we will equate the expression in both brackets to 0 to find the solution or roots of the equation. So after we are done with the factorization, we will equate the expression in both brackets to 0 because you have seen that if two numbers are multiplying each other and you get 0, what it means is that the first number is 0 or the second number is 0. So in this example, if s plus 5 and s plus 6 are multiplying each other and we are getting 0, what it means is that s plus 5 is 0 or s plus 6 is 0. With these two equations, we can find the solution or the roots of the equation. So for the first one, we have s plus 5 is equal to 0. This will give us x is equal to minus 5. And for the second one, we have s plus 6 is equal to 0. And this will give us x is equal to minus 6. So the solution or the roots of this equation is minus 5 and minus 6. Now that we know how to solve a quadratic equation, let's take some questions. Solve the following quadratic equations. We will solve the first one in this video, then we will solve the others in the subsequent videos. So let's begin with the first one. Solve 4x squared minus 9x plus 2 is equal to 0. Our equation is 4x squared minus 9x plus 2 is equal to 0. we have learned that to solve a quadratic equation, the first thing you have to do is to factorize the quadratic expression in the equation. The quadratic expression here is 4x squared minus 9x plus 2. So to solve this equation, we will have to factorize this quadratic expression. This is a quadratic trinomial. We have already learned how to factorize a quadratic trinomial in the previous videos. From the previous videos, we have learned that to factorize a quadratic trinomial, the first thing you have to do is to compare it with the general form of a quadratic trinomial, which is ax squared plus bx plus c. This will help us to get the values of a, b, and c. So by comparing ax squared plus bx plus c to 4x squared minus 9x plus 2, we can see that a will give us 4, b will give us minus 9, and c will give us 2. So we have the values of a, b, and c. Let's move on to the second step in factorizing a quadratic trinomial. The second step says that we should multiply a by c. A is 4, c is 2. 4 times 2 will give us 8. So a times c is giving us 8. Now we move on to the third step. The third step says that we should look for two numbers that when we multiply, we will get a times c, but when we add, we will get b. A times c is 8, b is minus 9. So we are looking for two numbers that when we multiply, we will get 8, but when we add, we will get minus 9. You will get these two numbers from the factors of a times c. A times c is 8. So it means that we will get these two numbers from the factors of 8. So let's list the factors of 8. They are 1, 2, 4, 8. So from this set, we will get the two numbers that when we multiply, we will get 8. When we add, we will get minus 9. Those two numbers from this set are 1 and 8. 1 times 8 will give us 8. 1 plus 8 will give us 9. So it means that we have to do some small adjustment about our two numbers such that it will fit both conditions. Let's negate both 1 and 8. That is, we will have negative 1 and negative 8. Because negative 1 times negative 8 will give us positive 8. And negative 1 plus negative 8 will give us negative 9. So if we negate both 1 and 8, it will satisfy both conditions. So the two numbers we are looking for are negative 1 and negative 8. After we have found those two numbers, we will replace b with those two numbers. B is minus 9. So we will replace minus 9 with minus 1 and minus 8. This means that we are going to replace minus 9x with minus 1x. So we replace it with minus 1x and minus 8x. So let's do that. Remember that minus 1x is the same as minus x. So you have 4x squared, then minus 1x, which is the same as minus x, minus 8x plus 2 is equal to 0. We have now expanded our expression, so we can go ahead and factorize. We will put the brackets around the first two terms, then we will put the brackets around the last two terms. This will give us 4x squared minus x in one bracket, then minus 8x. But because the sign outside the bracket is a minus sign, we will change the positive sign here to negative. So minus into bracket 8x minus 2 is equal to 0. Now let's factorize. 4x squared minus x. The common factor is x. So we bring x outside the bracket. We have x into bracket 4x minus 1. 8x minus 2. The common factor is 2. So we bring 2 outside the bracket. You have minus 2 into bracket 4x minus 1 is equal to 0. 4x minus 1, 4x minus 1. So we pick one of them. We have 4x minus 1 in one bracket. Then we have x minus 2. So we put x minus 2 in another bracket. So we have 4x minus 1 in one bracket times x minus 2 in another bracket. And this is equal to 0. Now we can solve this quadratic equation because we have factorized the quadratic expression in the equation. We have learned that to solve this quadratic equation, we will equate the expression in both the first bracket and the second bracket to 0. I'm going to bring this line so that we can continue with our solution here. The expression in the first bracket is 4x minus 1. So we equate 4x minus 1 to 0. Have 4x minus 1 is equal to 0. This will give us 4x is equal to 1. We divide the left hand side by 4. We divide the right hand side by 4. And x is equal to 1 divided by 2. So this is the first solution. Now let's go for the second solution. X minus 2 is equal to 0. So x minus 2 is equal to 0. And this will give us x is equal to 2. So the solution of this equation, 4x squared minus 9x plus 2 is equal to 0, is x is equal to 2 or 1 divided by 4. We can use our calculators to solve quadratic equations. So in an examination, after you have solved a quadratic equation, you can use your calculator to confirm whether your answer is right or not. I'm going to show you how you do that. So first, switch on your calculator. You press on mode. Then you select the fifth option. The fifth option is equation. So you select 5 for equation. If you go through the equations, you will see that the third option is quadratic equation. The third option is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So that is for quadratic equation. So you select the third option. The cursor is on a. It is asking you for the value of a. We know that for this equation, the value of a is 4. So you enter 4, then you press equal to. The cursor moves to b. It's asking for the value of b. For this equation, the value of b is minus 9. So you enter minus 9, you press equal to. Then the cursor moves to c. It's asking for the value of c. For this equation, the value of c is 2. So you enter 2, then you press equal to. When you press equal to, the calculator will give you x1. That is the first solution. And it's giving us 2. So here the first solution is 2. Then you press equal to again. The calculator will give you the second solution. That is x2. And it's telling us the second solution is 1 divided by 4. So it means the first solution is 2 and the second solution is 1 divided by 4. So our calculator is confirming the answers that we have, that the solution of this equation is s is equal to 2 or 1 divided by 4. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to this channel for more videos. In the next video, we are going to solve another question on solving quadratic equations. Bye bye.